morning. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of Business Morning. I'm Harriet Agbenyi, live to you on Channels Television, your home for the news. Well, we've got quite a lot to talk about on the program today. Of course, today is Tuesday, so we'll talk about where the commodities, domestic agri-commodities are at the moment. And Ada Konubi, who is a senior economic research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company, will be joining me in just a bit to talk about where those prices are. According to their latest report, the price of palm oil, 25 liters of palm oil, has really gone up by more than 20%. So we'll talk a little bit about what actually is driving the price of this commodity. We'll also take a look at the electricity issues. Still, the conversation continues. The Minister of Power Works and Housing had a meeting with stakeholders in Ibadan yesterday. So some of the things talked about, some of the issues focused on at that meeting, we'll talk about that on the program with Kayode Omoshebi, who is an investment analyst with ARM Securities. We'll also be talking about the business of fish. You don't want to miss that conversation, as well as the business of love. You thought I was not going to mention it. Today is Valentine's Day, and even though a lot of people seem to be excited about it, well, you can't be so excited when you haven't got so much money in your pocket. So we'll talk about what people are buying and how they're spending their money on Valentine's Day. We've got a report on that much later on the program. And also on the program, the Africa Middle East Regional Committee is holding its meeting in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, United Arab Emirates. And so we'll be talking to the chairman of the committee, who is also the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Mr. Munir Gwazo, who'll be joining us in just a bit. But what else do we have lined up at this time? Let's take a look at some of the top stories. Now, the budget hearing continues today at the National Assembly, with ministries, departments and agencies making presentations to support the items as contained in the 7.28 trillion naira 2017 budget. Now, also in a related development, Bloomberg says it has documents stating that the Nigerian government plans to generate $16.4 billion, that's about 5 trillion naira, through asset sales in the next 4 years to reduce the burden on the public debt. The document did not state the assets that the government might sell, but President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to introduce a proposal this month. The Nigerian Governors Forum have summoned an emergency meeting over the ongoing probe of how they spent the 522 billion naira Paris Club loan refund, which was shared to the states in December 2016 by the federal government. They want to clarify some of the issues being raised by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in its investigations. According to reports, the EFCC is investigating the 36 state governors in connection with this loan refund, which was approved and shared to the states by the federal government as part of the reimbursement for the over-deductions on the Paris Club loan. Now, most of the states say the money was not shared evenly among them. As of January, about 388 billion naira of the money had been released to the states. And also in the news, an international firm of repute, KPMG, has been appointed by the new management of Arik Air, that's the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, and given about 2 months to do a forensic and diagnostic audit of the finances of the airline to ascertain the true state of its finances, including the position of assets and liabilities and their utilization. And the management expects the report will also help the government to take necessary steps, either corrective or proactive, to reposition the airline. So those are some of the top stories we're tracking, and of course there are a number of others. Just go to our website channelstv.com to keep track of them with us. But let's quickly review how the markets finished off on the first trading day of the week, starting of course with the FMDQ OTCs market. That segment of the market, well, for the FGM bonds, that is, it was mostly bearish as investors get ready for the Debt Management Office auction, which is coming up tomorrow. And the DMO also will be holding its first media briefing in 2017 today. And of course, we'll talk about the FGN bond auction, which happens on Wednesday. About 110 billion naira of the 5, 10 and 20-year bonds will be offered on Wednesday. But taking a look at closing numbers from the FMDQ OTC's market for FGN bonds, only 3 of the 7 benchmark bonds we usually track here on the program actually saw any activity yesterday, the most being the bond maturing on the 18th of March 2036, with transactions of 26 done and a price high of 75. At the end of the day, only 30 deals were done for the FGN bonds valued at 3.80 billion naira. For Treasury bills, we saw that segment of the market also dominated by the bears. Don't forget, the Central Bank of Nigeria will be selling about 142 billion naira at the Nigeria Treasury bills auction, also holding tomorrow, and same amount is expected to mature before the end of the week. But taking a look at the list now from FMDQ OTC's market, these are the top 4. Notice that it's mostly the bills maturing short to medium dated bills that investors continue to favor. At the end of the day, deals came in at 508, valued at 141.80 billion naira. Now, the equities market starts the week on a negative note as well, as the all-share index dropped about 38 basis points to close at 25,244.65 points, largely on losses recorded by Nigerian breweries, Stanbic IBTC and ETI. Market capitalization declined about 33 billion naira to settle at 8.73 trillion naira. Notice that we had market breadth also coming in a little tepid at the end of yesterday's trade. So we had deals at volume traded declined about 29.65% to 141.92 with a value of 1.38 billion naira, and deals recorded 2,386. The Africa Middle East Regional Committee begins its 2-day meeting today in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, chaired by Munir Gwazo, who is also the chairman of the Securities and Exchange, who is also the Director General, of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Well, he joins us now to talk about some of the issues in focus at this meeting. Well, we'll try to connect with him and start the conversation. So, as I said, the Africa Middle East Regional Committee is holding its 2-day meeting in Abu Dhabi. And some of the issues that will be discussed, of course, will include emerging risk within the region. And we'll hope to get some his comments and perspectives on the key areas that will be focused on, and what those key areas are that are of concern to him as the chair of the Africa Middle East Regional Committee. But let's continue with our review of the market. So let's talk about how the Nasdaq OTC's market shaped up yesterday. That was largely unchanged, as we see the unlisted security index finishing at 594.31 with a market capitalization of 402.19 billion naira. This segment of the market, however, has seen renewed investors' appetite, even though a little bit mixed, especially in light of the economic challenges, the macroeconomic challenges. So that continues also to affect investors' sentiment as they trade on this segment of the market. This segment of the market is for unlisted securities, that's those not listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. But take a look at the second page, as the activity page. We had only 2 deals recorded yesterday on the Nasdaq OTC's Securities Exchange, with a volume of 1,000 and a value of 131.99 million naira. Well, as I said, today is Valentine's Day, so let's see how much you can exchange a naira for a dollar. That's if you have to do any currencies change before you buy a gift for a loved one. Let's show you how those numbers closed off on Monday. Now, we have the naira at the interbank over the counter still looking at 305 naira to a dollar. At to the British pound, we have that at 394 naira 23 kobo. And the naira to the euro is at 334 naira 62 kobo. But at the parallel market, that still continues to gallop. If you're buying from the unconventional market, which is the street market rate. You have the naira to the dollar at 506 naira. The naira to the British pound is at 618. And we have the naira to the euro. So let's listen to this report put together by my colleague in Channels business producer Temple Ashaju. He actually went to town to see the purchasing power of most Nigerians, especially for today. And it seems to have fallen since last year, shifting the patronage of Valentine-related items and products to necessary and immediate consumption. But they say that will not dampen the Valentine mood. So if, for instance, we know that a bag of rice is selling between 19,000 and 25,000 naira. So if you get a bag of rice for Valentine, would you be happy? Or if you get shares, for instance, for Valentine, would you be happy? Well, let's listen to this report from Temple.
Valentine is one of the seasons often synonymous with shopping. Although it doesn't come with a public holiday, it changes the atmosphere for businesses. But at this time of recession, consumers and Valentine-related items are found wanting.
Because of the exchange rate, the rate we sell things has really changed. The prices are different. See, most of our hustlers, when they come, they can't even afford to buy.
No, there is recession, but you know Nigerians, suffering and smiling. We are hauling anytime. If it is time for Valentine, we will do it.
Maybe a day or even 1 week to the Valentine's Day. The market is always, most people are always in the market, you know, buying with them. But as you can see now, you can't find anybody in the shop now.
With this fact, Valentine now has a new interpretation in Nigeria. This is because the Misery Index, an index that calculates a nation's economic well-being in Nigeria, is now at 52.15. And this stems from underemployment, unemployment, and inflation rates. Night shows are also organized to spice up Valentine's Day, but only a few can meet the demands.
Like the dress I picked, the red dress is 12,000, then the other one is 15. Then the long dress for dinner will be 20K because I need to, you know, go out and show off his bow and party hard with my boo.
There is a recession in the country, so I can only buy maybe a biscuit, you understand, for my kids. So my wife, maybe any kind of drinks, maybe wine.
Lending rates and per capita GDP growth play a significant role in a nation's misery index. With the resultant effects of these negative macroeconomic indicators on the citizenry, perhaps Valentine spendings is not a priority for now. Temple Ashaju, Channels Television News.
So as I said, Valentine spending is not a priority. But if, for instance, somebody does bring you a bag of rice to say Happy Valentine's, why not? You can collect it. It's part of the commodities that we're tracking on the program that has seen a topsy-turvy, especially with the festive season come and gone. But still, the prices are a little bit shaky. So if you get a bag of rice, please hold on to it. So still, what we're tracking at this time, as I mentioned, the 3-day public hearing by the National Assembly's Joint Committees on Appropriation continues today, and ministries, departments and agencies will be making various presentations to support the items as contained in the 7.28 trillion naira fiscal planning for 2017. Now, also in a related development, Bloomberg says it has documents stating that the Nigerian government plans to generate about $16.4 billion. That's about 5 trillion naira if you calculate it, going by the rate at the interbank foreign exchange market. That's 305. It will give you 5 trillion naira, as I said, through asset sales in the next 4 years to reduce the burden on the public budget. Well, the document did not state the assets that the government might sell, but President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to introduce the proposal this year. And don't forget, we're also tracking and hoping to see the launch of the National Economic Recovery Growth Plan. So this might be contained in that particular plan. Also, the Nigerian Governors Forum have summoned an emergency meeting over the ongoing probe of how they spent the 522 billion naira Paris Club loan refund, which was shared to the states in December 2016 by the federal government. So they want to clarify some of the issues being raised by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in its investigations. Business Morning continues after now. We're talking about commodities in just a bit. Stay with us.